9 o'clock, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I've been a couple seconds late, but hey, we had a long week last week. First on the agenda today is to approve the minutes of January 17th. I'll move. Steve moved.
I'll second that.
Craig second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Miscellaneous motions moved to authorize director chairman to sign one tax abatement amount of $601.32. I don't remember what the reason was. 2022 public real estate abatement. From Colony, Kansas. Address is Waverly area.
Because they had moved, is that what it was?
Yeah, there's really no, oh, there's 2 pages here.
Just changing value. I think this is the one they paid under protest.
Oh, okay.
Use delineation change resulted in a reduction of appraised value.
It was last week.
So what looks like there's correction of value.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
It appears that,
1 second.
you know, the land went from
I'll move.
I'll second it.
Dawn second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Next motion, move to authorize director chairman to sign 2023 CPU-4U, reflecting 6% mark adjustment effective 1/1/23.
I'll also move.
Dawn moved.
I'll second.
Steve second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That was pretty quick. 9:05. Mr. Ryan.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Jeff is scheduled off today, so I'm filling in. There were no road permits for last week, and I don't have anything to report on the landfill. We did have 2 call-outs this week. Basically, we had some holes in the road on some culverts. A couple locations yesterday we got calls on, so we went out and fixed them, basically caved them in, but there's culvert issues, or culverts are shot, and so dealt with those. I guess that'll just lead into my first motion here. So we hire summer help for the summer, and then we have, outside of that, we have 1 part-time position that's in our office staff. The lady that was there has decided, she's a retired gal that was part-time, and she decided she wants to really be retired, and so I would just like to ask that we can advertise to fill that position.
Go with a full-time position?
No,
Or still be
it's still part-time, and it's limited to 1,000 hours
Oh, okay.
a year.
Motion 2023-08, request authorization to advertise for a hire 1 part-time office support associate.
I'll move.
Steve's moved.
Second.
Tom second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
All right, thank you. Then next, I've got a need to call, I'd like to call an executive session for 15 minutes for the board and Wade and myself. I'd like to discuss job performance for a non-elected personnel position.
Okay.
And some stuff.
Minute executive session, board. County Councilor, Ryan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I guess no discussion. 15 minute, you said, Ron?
Yeah, that'll be plenty, I think.
And you said it was for personal matters?
Yeah.
Job performance
No,
for
not
non-elected personnel.
We will enter at 9:07 for 15 minutes.
Come on.
Who moved?
It did. I don't know what happened.
Steve moved,
Yeah.
Tom seconded, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve moved, you seconded?
Sure.
Okay, you like that? We all voted, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And it was 9:00, now we're down to.
Thank you.
Sorry. Last executive session, I'll move to accept resignation of Trent Criswell from County Road and Bridge.
Second.
Moved by Jesse, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Who is his name?
Trent Criswell?
Voluntary resignation?
Yes.
All right, so that job there is on the bridge crew, and last week we asked to advertise for a construction tradesperson. So there's 2 of those positions on the bridge crew, so both of those will be vacant now. One thing we'd like to look at is maybe changing the title, instead of construction tradesperson, and change it to heavy equipment operator. Those are in the same pay scale. There's no pay difference in those titles. It's just essentially a title change. You know, the construction tradesperson, they run equipment also, but really the biggest part, I think, is just for the advertisement of that job. You know, I think it's more, if somebody's reading the paper and they see tradesperson or heavy equipment operator, the heavy equipment operator, I think you might have a few more applicants, a few more qualified applicants, catch your ear and put in for that.
Would it be too much of false advertisement?
No, I mean, I don't,
They're gonna run enough equipment, you tell somebody to go
oh yeah.
throw forms and they're not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, as long as when you're
They-
hiring for that job, that's, I mean, you know, they know what they're being hired on for, and it's, and honestly, even some of our concrete work, we've pulled equipment operators and guys from other crews and some of our bigger pours, so.
I just didn't wanna make sure it was gonna be, you know, when they come in and apply for the job, you can say, you know, this is a wide net here.
Right.
This is from here to here.
Right. So, probably would need a motion, to change from construction tradesperson to heavy equipment operator for the titles. We sent up a motion this morning, I think Angie may have got it, 2023-09.
It's not in our book.
It's on, yeah,
No.
yeah,
I have a paper copy if you guys need that too.
they're on their tablet. You just sent it this morning. Here's the compass thing.
The compass.
Swipe up.
Ah. Okay.
Scroll down and find it.
Changing, okay. So is this gonna change all of those? Or
There's-
just the
there's-
2 that's being hired?
That's all there are.
Okay.
We only have 2 of those positions now in that crew. Out of the crew of 4, the only 2 of those positions are,
It's only a crew of 2.
well, there's a crew of 4, but there's 2 people on that crew that's construction tradesperson. We have a special equipment operator and a leadman on that crew.
Okay, so they're not gonna change classification on the pay scale?
No, it's the same, I'm not sure what.
Oh, okay, I thought you said it was different.
No, it's the same. It's the same pay,
Okay.
It's just a name change.
just a title change
Oh, kind of.
only, yep.
Based upon the recommendation of the interim road bridge superintendent to approve the construction trade person change to heavy equipment operator, no additional personnel are being added to this department with this action.
I so move.
I'll second.
Moved by Craig, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye, motion passes.
All right, thank you. So with that, we did have a motion last week to advertise for one full-time construction tradesperson. That has not been advertised yet. It'll start being advertised this week. I believe we should probably amend that motion since, the title change. And now we are actually looking to hire two, heavy equipment operators
Oh,
in
okay.
place of that, so.
Heavy equipment, oh.
Since we just advertised for two, could we rescind that motion completely?
Well, yeah, probably so. Rescind it completely and then have a new motion for the two that we need to.
That'd be a weighted question.
We approved the minutes last week, which we approved.
That was motion, I think, was by me, the last one.
Just to see what,
Moved by, yeah, Thompson moved. Curry seconded. Okay, based on recommendation of the interim road and bridge superintendent to approve the request. No, you said we gotta rescind the motion. Do we know what paragraph that was?
Let me go back to that. I'll pull it up. Okay, so it'd be
At number 10,
number 10.
where we hire one full-time construction tradesman and special bridge crew, but the motion we just made is gonna take care of that.
Yeah, I
So we
mean, the motion to remove paragraph 10 of last
Just
week's.
rescind it.
Rescind paragraph 10.
No.
So you can,
You got paragraph
Okay.
10?
where that is,
Yeah.
I highlighted the two.
So yeah, Wade brought up
Paragraph 9 on the
the,
computer, and we've got paragraph 10 on the paper.
We can scroll back from last week.
That's the minutes.
It's all right. I mean, don't matter to me. I just,
Yeah, it is
I
paragraph.
didn't know you were reading it, but, okay.
I have paragraph 10 on the official that we're
Okay,
signing.
that's fine, that's fine.
I'll double check that. Still working out a few little bugs.
I'll make a motion to remove paragraph 10 out of the January 17th, right? Tuesday, January 17th minutes.
I'll second.
Seconded by Tom, moved by Jesse. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Now we're gonna go back into,
and Wade brought up here that those positions, pay scale 35, the construction tradesperson and heavy equipment operator, so it's in the
the
same scale along with our, mechanics.
Okay.
Are all in that.
I just didn't want a big flurry of.
Yeah, right.
Okay, based upon recommendation of the interim road and bridge superintendent to approve the request for authorization to advertise and hire two full-time heavy equipment operators for special bridge crew, no new position is being added. This request will only fill the current vacant positions within the department due to voluntary retirement and resigning.
I so move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I think we've had enough. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
I believe that's all I have for today.
Okay. Yeah, I seen somebody was out yesterday, looked like signing
Yeah, we had put a barricade on a culvert up by Jacobs Creek, and we actually sent a blade out, south of 10th and Garner, just to cave in a hole in the middle of the road by a culvert and filled it in, so. Yeah, so we'll temporarily fix the one up there by Jacobs Creek, cave it in, and get us by for a while, and they'll just be on the replacement list for this summer, so.
Always something in there.
No, it is, and, you know, we're in the process, we're gonna be starting re-inspecting our culverts, the end of this week. Next week's kind of the plans, and so we'll be finding a lot of those now instead of getting calls on them, hopefully, but yeah, there's gonna be a pretty good sized list when we get down to our inspections on replacements that we don't know about right now. They'll be on our list, so.
Good luck with that.
Yep, thank you.
Ryan, you mentioned you got called out, or the county got called out twice
Yes.
this week. Do you go out and look and see what is needed for those particular projects, or is there another foreman that goes out and inspects them, see how much help they need, how much equipment they need?
So it kinda depends. A lot of times, you know, Jeff will get those calls, or I'll get those calls, and then if they're up north, you know, Jeff will have me take a look at them, and then we'll see if it's something that needs dealt with or addressed. I mean, you know, we were able to put a barricade on one, you know, it's a little farther from town, and it was on a dead-end road, that one house is up there, and they were able to get around, so, you know, if we would've needed to call in, we assess the situation and then go from there on what the needs are. The other one, it was in the middle of the road, it was close enough to town, we just called in a guy in the blade, he went out there, and, you know, in an hour.
For every situation?
Every situation's
Handle it
different.
a little
It's no different than when we get a call in the middle of the night on a tree down on the road. I mean, you might go and, you know, it might be covering on the edge of the road, or it might be a 5-foot wide tree that's, you know, down across the road. So you never know. We go and assess the situation, and then, you know, deal with it accordingly.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, you bet. You guys have a good day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, we've got some other business to take care of from last week. The mix-up in charter and, what was it, charter and home rule?
Oh, no, yeah.
So a motion has been handed to us. Move to rescind the motion in the Tuesday, January 17th minutes, paragraph 5. Even move to approve charter resolution number 05, the resolution exempting Coffee County, Kansas from the provisions of KSA 1217, 5A, 1217, 59, 1217, 60, 1217, 61, and 1217, 67B. I'm not gonna continue with the rest of that, because you can look at paragraph 5. I will move to rescind.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Now, for new. Move to approve charter resolution number 012 as a resolution exempting Coffee County from the provisions of KSA 121758, 121759, 121760, 121761, and 121767B. I don't believe I have to read the rest. I moved.
I'll second that.
Wade seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye, motion passes. Okay, we've got our new signature pages here.
I'm doing 2 originals like we did last week. And this is one we approved last week, but I didn't put in your signatures.
So do we need to sign it?
Yeah, you'll need to
Okay.
sign. This is
Okay.
just.
Oh, that's the
stuff.
waste
Yeah.
region deal?
Yeah.
Okay. did this one 123, don't I?
Yes, that one you did.
Angie, are you gonna email that to Tyler and to Joe?
I've talked to Bobby, he said he'll shoot it to them, just to make sure they get a copy, because I let him know, I gave him a heads up that the number was off.
I just don't know if that'll affect publication or not, but.
Mark's already got it scheduled for publication, so we're still on track, even with the number change.
Carl, do you have anything for us this morning, sir?
No, I was just curious, well, I can give you a quick water update.
You guys had a meeting, didn't you?
Yeah, for Public Wholesale 12, I met, Rick Walker and I met with the board of Public Wholesale 12, and they're on board with supporting and going forward with the development of water on Melbourne Lake. This Wednesday, Rick Walker and I will be, me and Saban will be meeting with Kansas Water Office to discuss our numbers that we're going to submit for the water right application, not the right. So, all of that's still headed in a very positive direction, Public Wholesale 12.
Good, good.
Awesome.
Well, we've got some stuff here to sign, so I guess we'll sign that until 10:50, take a break, and be ready for HR partners. Come on.
What are we signing on this?
I'm sorry.
This is just,
It's a kidney letter that comes weekly to the
Oh.
county. I think it costs $200 or $300 a year to do it. There are two different kidneys. One will be a brown paper, one will be white. It's just, most of those natural news.
okay.
You didn't discuss about just dropping it, but we haven't done that yet.
This is just for 2 months, right?
Yeah, it just comes, either once a week or once every 2 weeks.
We found when we go in, and then the person that goes off the chart, his number, whatever happened between last year and January, and April, it changed from the
Oh, okay. Okay. Good little bump.
He should have been great.
They should
I
have.
was on plan.
This is underneath that cover sheet. This was clipped here, that one.
Okay, these are two, okay.
You making pretty colors on yours?
Well, it helps me get your lines. You send me one.
I think we're gonna take a break now for 10 minutes. Finish that Christine said.
So this is just it's all just,
I just reached out to Jenny.
should all cover it. It didn't only look at it's underneath its cover page. This there's an annual check for AG, $1,000 annual budget.
Okay.
Morning, Christina, how are you?
I'm good.
We're gonna take a quick little break here as soon as everybody gets stuff signed, then we'll get on to you a little early.
That's good.
Because I'm sure it'll be a great discussion.
It always
Oh,
is.
wait, I'm sorry.
That's why
That's just
I
checking
love to
something.
cook in Coffee County.
And that goes on like going to the dentist, right?
Wait, Nancy, it's not.
Similar but different.
This here is some miscellaneous stuff.
I request some gas.
Yeah, please. Some laughing gas.
I'll just initial it in place.
See? I know.
With that, nice even numbers, we'll take a 10-minute break. We'll resume at 9:55.
Awesome, good, yeah.
Just so we.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, Christina, we'll get to you 5 minutes early. Because I know you'll stay 5 minutes late.
I will. That honesty.
We appreciate that.
I know. Well, I am here to discuss the latest revision of the employee handbook policy manual. So, there have been some things that have been changed. I'm gonna have Angie help me as well too, to kind of indicate what those were. I know she reached out to me to get my opinion in regards to inclement weather. So that's one policy. And inclement weather,
It's in there somewhere.
yeah, it's page, it's at the very, almost at the very end. I have it as page 38.
He's still trying to find his
I got
hand.
it. Was it in the book?
It's in the book, yes, it's loose in the book, just pick your book
Yeah,
up.
it is loose in the book. I
Pick your
pulled
book
mine.
up and tip it upside down.
I don't know how we did that. Loose it, I like the way loose in the book.
Okay.
It's
And
all,
I've got,
it's.
and I've got mobile here that we marked the pages that we need to
Yeah.
have Christina look at.
It's like backwards, I printed backwards.
So the reason why the inclement weather came about,
I forgot about readings.
Okay, thank you.
is because it happens where we have weather incidences where we might have to make a business decision to shut down operations. And if that were to occur, how do we pay people appropriately? And in my world, and this is what I explained to Angie, if the commissioners or if leadership makes the decision to shut down operations, it's on the county. If you don't shut down operations and someone cannot get into work because of that respective inclement weather, they have to take a vacation day or a PTO day, etc. So that's pretty easy peasy, but what sometimes happens, and you guys would appreciate this, sometimes people put in for vacation during that time frame, and then the inclement weather happens and they feel left out. Meaning, guess what? I didn't get a free day, you know, so that's up to the commissioners. You know, in my world, if someone has already in advance made that, you know, decision, we need to stick with that respected decision and honor that they took, you know, vacation and they need to take vacation.
I think we had some discussion on that a couple weeks
Yes.
ago or so, and I think we're all coming to the same conclusion
Okay,
that, I mean, if you had scheduled a vacation day, then sorry, but.
yeah, it happens.
You get, yes.
It happens.
Just
And I
like-
will
Just like
say,
the weather happens.
correct, exactly. And I will say, all these years of doing this, I don't deal with inclement weather issues that often. It happens every now and then, but not that often. So that's the first policy that I know we had some discussion on.
What page you say it was on, Christine?
I have it as
38.
38.
38, bottom of the page.
Yeah, bottom of the
And
page.
it was over into 39.
Goes up to 39.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure it was into the,
But you can see, over on 39, we have a comment to the side. Any pre-approved vacation or personal leave that employees have scheduled will continue to be recorded as such, regardless of inclement weather closing. So
We've talked about that quite a bit, and we agree,
okay,
or I think we all agree that
okay.
that's the way it should be.
So that's the proposal, for that particular policy, to put that language in there. So I know that's the first one. I think the next one that I know we were talking a little bit about was the holiday. And Angie, you might want to help me out. I've been kind of on the peripheral, my staff,
Can we go
yes.
back to this inclement weather?
Sure, absolutely.
So, so the courthouse is closed, but yet, you got
Other,
Road and Bridge coming in, you've got Sheriff's Department coming in, you've got several departments that have to come in no matter what the weather.
you bet.
So do we need to put something in there to say you're getting double time to come in, or time and a half, or whatever we choose to put in there?
That's what you choose to put in there. But if you're like shutting down, now the way you say the courthouse, usually sometimes people say administrative services, like beyond just the courthouse, that's where we have to have the clarification. Because I understand that some people do have to work during the inclement weather, particularly the road and bridge. Usually they're
And the Sheriff's
shoveling.
Department.
Yeah, and the sheriff's department,
I mean,
absolutely.
those two departments come in regardless.
Correct,
and quite possibly emergency preparedness.
yeah.
Quite possibly, yes.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Do they not get comp time? I mean,
they do, but I didn't know if we need,
oh, I see.
and then it's usually up to that department head how that gets done, but I was just
Mhm.
curious, do we need to put something in there?
That's up to you.
Okay. Well, I planned to see.
Because they are getting compensated, and usually, I mean, depending on how much they work that week, they may be getting, you know, overtime. It just depends. But they're in those respective positions where they know that that's gonna happen, where they're gonna be working it regardless of the inclement weather.
But like the sheriff's department, I mean, that would be up to the sheriff to determine, is that, I'm just asking.
I would
Like-
assume he's an elected official, he can do it pretty much how he wishes.
And like-
But I mean,
like on road-
when we got road and bridge, I mean, do we as a commission, again, it's just for general discussion, do we need to say, okay, you get time and a half comp time, do you get double time, what do you get? If everybody got paid 8 not to be here, do they
Mhm.
get 2 days off?
So my question is this just happened in December,
Right.
correct? So
Yes.
what did we do?
So, those employees, if it, not a holiday, just a closing of the courthouse,
Yeah,
if it was on a Saturday, Road and Bridge gets time and a half for call-out pay.
okay,
But then they get, 8 hours of comp time that they can take in the spring when it's nice and go out and go golfing.
Plus the time and a
Plus
half.
the time and a half, yeah. It would be at time and a half rate
Right.
too. So
Mhm.
it wouldn't just be, I guess I shouldn't say just 8 hours, it would be they work 10 hours, then they would get 10 hours of
Sure,
comp time.
sure.
And then same with the sheriff's office. If we were closed, they get comp time for another day of their choosing, but they have to use it within a few, you know, like before
Mhm.
3 or 4 months.
Mhm.
Again, I was just seeing if it needed to be what she just
So,
said.
no, and that-
Anybody says it needs to be.
Does that need to be articulated within the policy?
Yes,
Okay,
just
okay.
a question.
Yeah, no, it's one of these where if people are asking questions and you think it would be better to put it in here that this is what would happen if you have to work on the inclement day.
So the example you gave Angie was a Saturday, what about that Thursday and Friday then? What happened with the road and bridge that day?
They would just get comp time for the 2 days we were closed,
Which amounts to,
for the hours that they worked.
Be equal hours. They get paid time and a half, plus they get comp the amount of hours they work.
okay.
So it's basically like
Double time.
double time,
Yeah.
time, that actually,
Two and a half.
2.5.
Yeah.
2.5
Okay,
time,
okay, all right.
basically.
Thank you, that explains it.
But to Tom's point, I mean, do we need that in a form, or
To save some questions.
does that just go back to the department heads or the sheriff or whatever it may be? I mean, what,
Well, it's not really, I mean, the department heads make the decision whether or not they need to come in that day to work. And then basically what Angie is doing as your respective clerk, she's compensating them the way it's always been done when these type of situations occur. So, and I'm one of these, I don't like to put anything in the handbook unless it's, you know, lots of questions, lots of concerns. Obviously, that has not occurred, or has it with these groups?
Oh,
Like
we get questioned when it does happen.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you feel like it would be better to put it in
It's
the
fine.
handbook, we can do
I
that.
guess that would make it easier for,
That department head at that time to say, nope, it says right here that.
Mhm,
I guess
mhm,
it would be.
You'd cut the questioning
It
out.
would.
Okay.
What's your opinion? Or is, I mean,
You know
is
what
it
his
a,
opinion
is
is.
it a,
The more the merrier.
am I trying to reinvent the wheel, or am I fixing something that don't need fixed, or?
I don't think it'll take a lot of room to write that up, and it'd be more clarified for every department head and every employee. What do we do currently on, like, Christmas is a holiday? If we gotta bring employees in, or New Year's Day, in the winter time when it could be snowing, do they get double time, or is it just time and a half?
No, they would get, if it's our
If it's a,
observed holiday, then they get the double time.
They would get holiday pay
Yeah, they get holiday pay.
Plus the,
time and a half.
Right.
Plus
plus the comp.
the comp. Is that right? I mean, I'm just.
On
asking.
holiday, they would just get the double time and a half, I believe, on holiday pay.
They wouldn't get no comp at all.
No.
And it's already, and that was the other policy that I wanted to discuss with you, was the holiday. And there is some new language in there on the bottom of page 21. And it's interesting that we're talking about this. Similar language we can put in the inclement weather, but it says road and bridge and sheriff's department employees will receive the 8 hours of holiday pay for the observed holiday. If employees are required to work on that observed holiday, they will receive the 8 hours of holiday pay plus time and a half regular pay for each hour worked.
That's how, yeah.
So it's basically your double time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Double time plus time and a half.
Yeah.
But going back to Wade, he didn't get to answer the question.
He was picking his words.
I know.
No, I mean, it's one of those things where I know if there's not something in writing, the questions are gonna come to me, and we were just talking about that out in the hall, or they'll come to Angie or the chairman, and the answer will be, we'll look at the policy manual, and then when the policy manual is silent, then that's when we have an issue. And I understand the goal is to consolidate and make this a lot smaller, and I agree it needs to be done, but I still think there'll be some things that aren't in here that were in the old manual that will be questioned, and that will be, you know, there will have to be answers. So we had talked about it, what I was talking to Christina about in the hallway is there gonna be a manual for department heads, which I think that may or may not be something that should be discussed, because policy-wise for the county, this covers the policy. There are some internal things that I guess have gone on for a long time that will be, there will be questions, I guess, is the best way to put it. And if we don't have an answer, then I know I'll be contacted, and we'll have a number of questions that will get brought before the board to answer as well. So, you know, one example would be when somebody gets hired. At least the way it's set up right now, you can start at step 1 up to step 6, and there's flexibility. Someone with no experience in their particular job starts at step 1, but if you have experience, then there's discretion going up to what the market is, which would be step 6, but there's a process. Or do you leave that to the department head, which they come in and then you make the decision, but there will be questions about that, for example, and I don't know how to, that's just one example that I have.
What I was explaining to Wade out in the hallway, when it comes to certain procedures, I mean, that's a procedure. What is the procedure? Not a policy. It's what's the procedure when a new employee comes to work for the county. And when it comes to those respective decisions, the only people that are making those decisions are in leadership. And so they have the, you know, freedom based upon the procedure on where to bring people in, you know, on the pay scale. That normally isn't in a policy manual for all employees. As I was also discussing with Wade, I'm all about procedures, but with compensation, that's such a budgetary, you know, based type of decision that I don't always know what people's budgets are from year to year, so I don't like to put anything in writing that we're going to be doing this and this and this and this when we don't know if we're going to do all of those things. So, you know, people have asked me, you know, in my partnership with Coffee County, should we keep 2 manuals? And, you know, if, you know, the respective county feels like it would be a benefit to have certain procedures in writing for leadership, I'm all for it. It's just that what I have seen, you know, in the past that you have used, it's way too cumbersome. There should be like, here are the top 5 things, you know, top 5 procedures that the leaders need to know, and we can work on that. But this is my ultimate goal, is to get this done first, and then work on a leadership manual, or I call it a leadership procedural manual. Because I do think leaders need to be consistent on how to administer, you know, people's pay.
Sure, agreed. Well, we don't get to see, we don't have the privilege to see all the applications, if you will, for every job, so I always let it up to that department head to
Correct,
bring
make
that individual in,
the
whatever,
business decision.
whatever scale they think appropriate, so.
And for most organizations, they have those procedures, and if someone needs to go outside of that scope of the procedures, they have to come to the commissioners for approval. If they need to go out of that scope.
I think we need to depend on our department heads to make those decisions and be flexible in those decisions.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're always going to second guess what they do. They've
Mhm.
got to have they've got to have say-so in that, just flexibility, I think.
Mhm.
As far as the inclement weather, I mean, this paragraph on the holidays,
Yeah.
pretty short and sweet. mean,
But I will say there's a little bit more on page 22. On the holiday. Based upon what our conversation with Angie and some of the questions that she has gotten on holiday pay as well as the inclement weather, we put this together. And sometimes it's good to always have an example
Mhm.
so people understand.
And holiday pay, they're on 21 and 22, you know, they get 8 hours plus time and a half. Do they still get comp time?
No. Yeah, they just get their 8
They
hours
just
of
get the
holiday
2.5
pay like we would.
2.5
And
time,
then they're
and
getting.
no comp time on the holiday?
Right.
Okay. So that that keeps that pretty well clarified.
Because you might have for instance, like, Road and Bridge may not work that holiday at all because there's no bad weather, so they're already gonna just get it. The only one you're gonna run into that with would be the sheriff's office. Unless there's inclement weather, then you have to go back to that policy. Then they would probably get a comp time day plus, or they would just get the double time and a half or whatever.
Mhm. So you're talking about if everything happened on Christmas.
Yeah, right.
Inclement weather, a holiday, and they're working.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could happen. We have quite a few holidays in November and December and.
And then on your sheriff's office, they may be scheduled on
Yeah.
that day, so then they would
Mhm.
just get the holiday pay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
So the conclusion of a 10-minute discussion, what's the result?
Well, what we put together for both the holiday and the inclement weather, I'm wanting your feedback on that. And then the only thing that's come up that we haven't addressed is if a holiday and an inclement weather and everything happens at the same time, how would we administer that? Or are we going to have a particular policy take precedence and not try to lump them all together? Does that make sense?
Drop back 20 and pump?
I don't know. I don't
The
know.
holiday would be the same as inclement weather day when you're closing the courthouse, you're the
Mhm.
same as everybody else.
Mhm.
Plus, and then some,
Mhm.
so,
Actually, it's more, it'd be more,
yeah.
because you're getting your comp time.
Okay.
The only difference, Matt, the holiday, they don't get comp time, the non-holiday, they do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the only difference. Correct?
That's the way I'm reading it. Reading it, following up, understanding it.
What? I don't see the need to make any changes in
Yeah.
the holiday part.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't see any need to make changes.
But then we're gonna add, some language in the inclement weather based upon our conversation today.
Right.
To
And
make
that's what-
it-
and that's
to
what
make
Tom-
it-
and that's
yeah.
what Tom was asking about, correct?
Yeah,
So,
to
yeah.
have it mirror what we
As long as
have in the
everybody-
holiday.
As long as everybody else agrees, I
Well,
mean.
Okay.
no, that's, and I think Wade, between you and, I think wording needs to be in there, and that way that'll stop it. I mean, that'll help the,
Mhm.
Department head.
department heads.
Mhm.
yes.
It's a good idea.
So, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So that's the first thing. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed in the policies? Angie, is there anything else that we discussed that, I just remember the inclement weather and the holiday was our primary. And the other things that, were discussed with Wade and Angie were already addressed in an earlier meeting.
Go through, see what. So here's, page 20, residency requirement.
Yeah, here was my recommendation. The residency requirement has come up, and my recommendation is if you're going to make it preferred, why even have it in the policy manual?
Correct.
So that's why I recommended to just strike it. Yeah.
Isn't that kind of the consensus?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that was kind of the consensus, that was the,
Yeah, once you put it in that preferred status, that it's not even worth putting it in the
Someone may get
handbook.
reluctant to even,
It's just one of these where
Yeah, if it's not gonna be a no, then why mention it? It might turn somebody away.
Yeah.
Thinking they're not gonna have the best
E-
chance at the job.
Exactly. So that's why I recommended that. I know we've, included terminology in the short-term disability, because that's new. That's a little bit below, on page 23. So that's new language based upon your new policy.
Short-term disability.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Wade, have you reviewed the updated drug policy to reflect your needs and the drug policy?
Which page is that on?
That is on page 20, yes. And just to refresh your memory on the drug policy, a lot of it had to do with the random and who was eligible for the random and who was not.
what page you say that was on, Christine?
It's on page 20.
20?
About halfway down.
And it's also up on the screen, Don.
This doesn't really address the random pool. Are we gonna stick to what we currently have, or?
What's currently in place is the random testing policy for anyone other than CDL
Okay.
and safety sensitive
Gotcha.
is suspended and probably gonna be abolished.
Okay.
So does that wording have to be in there? It's for safety sensitive and CDO?
I thought it was,
It's not in
It's
here.
not in there.
I thought it was somewhere else, but
You guys discussed it.
I know we
We discussed
discussed it.
You're still gonna do a pre-employment test though for all
Yes.
employees, correct?
pre-employment.
pre-employment, post-accident, and reasonable suspicion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are all live and they're,
Does it say any here, like, reasonable suspicion, you test, you get a positive?
Yeah, that's on page 36.
Okay, I just wondered what our actions were, because I wasn't seeing that there.
No, I agree.
well,
I don't know why we didn't mold those together.
That's,
so Wade, part of your question is what happens? Well, it depends on who you work for. If you're a department head, then you follow one procedure. If you're an elected official, the elected official, if it's reasonable suspicion, is in charge of what happens with that employee. No.
Okay.
All of what we discussed is on page 36 and 37, where it spells out the CDL and the safety sensitive,
Yeah,
and,
Okay.
I thought it was somewhere else, so it's,
I was just curious, I didn't, you know, sort of said earlier the word policy was,
okay.
where the rest of this information was.
Would you be able to combine them?
Yeah, I need to-
Put all that together.
I need to combine it. I'm making that note,
Okay.
because it is
Thank you.
confusing.
and so it's clear, there's two people that are in charge of that drug testing policy. One is one of the representatives or employees of Road and Bridge, the other one is the sheriff or his designee. And under the policy, unless you're an elected official, if someone violates the policy, for example, they're asked to take a random and they don't test within whatever that time window is, the sheriff or the other person in charge of the program has the right to terminate on the spot. And that's,
Okay.
That's anywhere.
yep, and I think it's important that that's noted. It doesn't have to be noted here, it's part of the policy, but it does say including termination.
Gotcha. Okay.
I've got something, and I don't know what this, it's on the tobacco use.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was discussed, earlier on, maybe a month or two ago, that it was smoking and vaping, but then I think it was discussed that, chew was not an issue. Or am I,
That's what I thought.
That is correct.
It was
I thought it was
acceptable.
36.
right, but it doesn't, it says the use of tobacco and or vaping in any form.
And if you look at the comment to the right, you don't see it on yours, but the board wanted to change to smoking and or vaping. And then that looks like,
Oh, okay.
so,
Yeah, so we're ready to make that change if the board is okay with it.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, mine are.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
and then there was the.
I guess that's why I was,
That's what we discussed.
that's what you,
Mhm.
Back in December, when we had this,
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And, the only other, question that I have is on page 24. And this is not only for the commissioners, but also to get Angie and Wade's opinion on it as well too. On page 24, the leave sharing program, I know this has been discussed about, possibly because now that we have all these leave situations and the short-term disability included in there, that we would take this out.
Yes,
Okay,
that was my
okay.
thought.
And I thought so, but I wanted to get that clarification. I mean, there's,
Taking this out.
yeah, there's,
Well, we can't do it till July when the short-term disability takes effect.
Okay,
if I remember
okay.
correctly.
okay,
It's more of
good.
a timing issue because
Gotcha.
some had already went ahead and applied.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, that was my clarification question. So this will come out effective July 1.
Correct.
Okay.
Like Wade said, I think some people already signed up for short-term disability, so in order to be fair to pay for everybody's, then it was just wait till.
And I would say not let anybody come June 15th and try to do a shared leave for August 1st.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You bet.
everything's gotta be done and out of there by July 1,
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned. Your wheels are turning away.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, when is open enrollment for benefits? Because that's the time.
It'll be in May, May, first week or so of May that we'll start.
Because that's when this sort of became an issue, because we had open enrollment
Mhm.
and people had already signed up, so we just need to make sure internally we let all of the employees know so that they don't go ahead and re-sign up for that benefit.
Right.
And then we end up in, well, they'll just have to be put on notice, I guess, is the best way to do it.
Okay, those were the policies that I wanted to get clarification on. Is there anything that you still want to discuss?
I think we're finally getting there.
We're getting there. We are. Angie's got some.
Question, I know. Well, it's just come up because, a previous commissioner passed away this weekend. And, if you guys remember Johnny Sleezer, he passed away on Sunday, I think it was. And our old policy has changed throughout the years of when we send memorial. And so I noticed there's not really anything in here about sending, memorial or plant, and how far does it go, I guess?
Yeah, and I think that would be a perfect, procedure, that leadership would make that decision on the who, as well as the budget of something like that.
See, we made a change in that, 5 or 6 years ago, because there was 3 or 4 department heads or 3 or 4 departments was sending something, and we narrowed it down to 1.
We did do that, yes.
Got it down to 1.
So who is
And
the
that was done
one?
4 or 5 years ago.
The county clerk, it got
Okay.
revised since
Okay.
I've been here because you would have multiple departments.
Yeah,
and
sending
something,
stuff.
And
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
it got narrowed down to who you could send for as well, because you
It could be.
the Kevin Bacon rule, 6 degrees of separation out.
Mhm.
It's a relative of a relative of somebody who used to work at the county, and it has to be.
I forget just exactly how we forward. We're just doing 1 instead of 3 or 4 throughout the county.
Yeah, we are doing that. We just send from our office, if we're notified, we send either a plant or memorial,
Okay.
whatever.
Mhm.
That's pretty well, that all came back to you, didn't it, Angie?
Uh-huh.
To take care of that
Well,
responsibility.
because we always send one anyway,
Yeah.
but then the department was sometimes sending one.
So
And
that,
so then we
just
just,
duplicate.
Yeah.
You should be spending $500 on flyers,
right.
which doesn't take very many flyers.
It doesn't.
Valentine's Day's coming up, just throwing that out there, guys.
reminds
A
me.
little friendly reminder from Jesse.
Wade, do you have the updated policy on that? By chance?
Well, so
I'm looking to see.
ironically, we can go to
Cole County.
All those pictures.
So here at the bottom, policy and procedure manual and amendments. So the amendments was a running document. And if you look up personnel, nepotism, immediate family, funeral policy, so we can go to the policy manual. For some reason I thought they were listed, but
Might have been if you'd clicked on it, wouldn't it?
You couldn't click on it.
yeah, you can click on it. What,
Try it. I mean, it's about.
so 7.0, and that was May 28, 2019.
Not too long ago.
No, it's been since I've been.
Yeah, we did get to notice and like bills come through for flowers.
That third paragraph down, said flyers or memorials.
So it's somewhere in here. because the definition of immediate family was also modified, so,
Yeah, the third paragraph talks about flowers or memorial contributions shall be sent out.
all flowers not exceed $75. Any amount over 75 shall be approved by the board.
I think nowadays you about get a dandelion for $75.
I know.
I think a person ought to jump that a little bit.
So, well, but you're about to wipe out this entire
That's
policy
fine.
manual, so.
I just say wipe it out.
So then we won't send to, like, any previous elected officials or anything like that, is that?
But that's,
See, we changed it about 4 years ago in May, so.
My apologies, where does it say who?
who does what?
Yeah, I mean, meaning who do you send it to? Meaning the classifications of, I'm assuming, employees, former employees.
Elected officials,
Where's that at?
employees,
Elected
or
officials,
family.
employees, and their families, and then elected official or employee loses a member of their immediate family,
Okay,
or if the elected official or employee passes away. And
but it
then,
doesn't say former,
well,
like former employees or former elected officials.
Right.
Right,
So we don't wanna do that.
that's just it, that's up to you.
Well, there down at the, it says, the last highlight, it says, if an individual learns that an elected official or employee has passed away or lost a member of their immediate
Yep.
family, we are encouraged to notify the county clerk.
I mean, previous is what I was asking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna throw it out there, if I die, I don't care if y'all send anything. It's really not gonna matter to me.
Because you're dead.
Yeah, I'll be eating
Yeah.
worms, or worms will be eating me.
The only thing that I see up there that might be looked at as former, the term former, someone that has served or has been employed here, because there's a lot of people that have been employed here for a long time and then they retire. And so I think it would be good for the, county to send something. And then sometimes the definition of a family member, it should mirror the same thing that we have in the policy manual, which is with our bereavement leave, to also put that in there as
For
well
immediate
too.
family, then.
Yeah, a lot of times the definition of family members has changed over the years. So we like to just make it easier on everybody and put what the definition of a family member is, and it would mirror the same thing.
so this definition was modified.
Yeah.
Part of this.
Well, back to Angie's question, I don't mind, but it just goes back to we're gonna have 5 different departments doing the same thing, so.
I mean, the way it came up is apparently multiple departments were spending taxpayer money to send out the same thing, and that can get expensive. So that's where it got reined in for that reason.
Yeah.
But I mean, going back to
Yeah.
where does it,
This is a procedure. This is not something that should go out in an employee handbook. But here's my proposal. So if we're okay with this language, we've spent a lot of time getting this language right, is to take this respective language and merge it with this. Like I noticed a lot of the policies are in here already. We just need to get the updated language in there. And then we need to go through some of these procedures, like this one, and make decisions and update it as well, too. So we've gotten 75% of it done. Now we need to get the other 25% done. But right now, with us approving this, it's not going to mirror what we want it to mirror the way it should in this particular document. And just so you know, when we do develop these manager handbooks or these procedure handbooks, it will look a lot like this, but then we will add language under these particular categories. And so a leader can go through it and know what's in the employee handbook and what's in the manager's handbook.
Specific. to-
Correct.
So will the employee be able to get the procedure manual as well?
There's really no reason to. I mean, it's not like it's confidential, but it's a procedural manual. It's just like asking, someone in a leadership capacity asking for everybody's procedures anywhere else in the organization. I mean, you can get it, but, and it will be out on, this is on the website, right?
Yep, that's where I went to.
It's gonna continue to be on the website, so it's not a secret, but it's one of these where it truly is utilized by leadership.
They don't need it handed to them.
No, they don't need it handed to them, but it is out there, and I like that it's out there.
It needs to be accessible because internally, you want employees to be able to see if everybody is being, the rules and
Right.
policy is being applied equally to everybody across the board. But then you have that asterisk with Nylander and elected official versus non-elected official, where the rules are different, and we've talked about that, so.
But what we can do is we can do the heavy lifting of putting together a draft. We would work with Wade and Angie to go through these policies, just like we just went through that, and there's 3 things that I would request to change. And, the former, having that in there and that flexibility if someone did serve for the county, the definition of that family member, making sure that that is, within the policy too. And I gotta agree with, Jesse, $75 doesn't give much anymore. And the only reason I know that is I send flowers and plants and things on a regular basis. I hate to say it, it's in the $100 to $125 range.
I'm gonna say 175 is gonna be
Yeah.
probably 150 to 175.
So-
Be more of a reasonable limit, probably.
Yeah, so that would be something, to give you an example, that we need to look through it. And once we get this done, gentlemen, my goal for your respective county is you have to look at it on an annual basis. That's what, most of the boards that I serve on, as well as the boards that I represent, then it doesn't get out of hand, I guess is the best way to put it. You just keep it in front of you, and every November, we're gonna look at the policy manual, and we're gonna do some revisions.
Right.
So can we get that one down to a page and a half instead of this one?
That's my goal too. Yes, sir. But I haven't gone through that in a while, and so it's one of these where if you task us to do that, we will do it, or I need to get your feedback on your level of importance to getting this accomplished.
At $75, we could authorize her to move that to
Not to exceed 150.
150. And we're only doing one, where 5 years ago, it might have been doing 3 or 4 and doing 200.
Exactly.
I don't know, that's just a small portion. That's just
Yeah.
the issue that's at hand right now.
Right.
I've just
Yeah.
seen it, $75,
Yeah,
that's by
that's-
the wayside.
Yeah.
While we're here, just,
We
We
can
could
knock it
change
out.
that for
Take it to wherever you
while
want.
we're here. and
We can
one
make a
thing done.
motion to, move the, minimum, or up to $150 for memorial contributions for flowers to Board will approve voucher to $150 for,
See how Angie translates that.
And I like what you said, up to
up to
$150.
$150. And you probably
That
could
says
go to
there.
$175.
That one there says shall not exceed $75. The amount over 75 shall be approved, so if you take it to 150. Yeah. Anything over that has to be approved. Fairly simple.
So, you want to see how I wrote it?
Move to raise the memorial
That's one of those
flower
things that-
memorial contributions for bereavement up to $150. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's good.
yeah.
I like that. It gives Angie's staff the flexibility
Right.
too, because they don't have to spend all of that.
And I so move.
I'll second that.
Tom's moved, Wade seconded, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
You know, even though you mentioned we'll probably review this once a year,
Mhm.
but that's not saying there won't be something come up unexpectedly.
Absolutely,
We may have to
absolutely.
address it every free.
I agree,
'Cause
Don,
you'll never have a finalized
Oh,
copy
no,
that'll satisfy
never.
everything.
and I'm glad you said that. This is a living, breathing document.
It's a moving, it's moving all,
It
it's a
is.
moving target all the time.
It is, and
And
so
we hope
if,
it isn't, but it will be.
it will be, probably the first year that
First year or two.
that you, institute, you know, something that people will bring to your attention, this is working or this is not working, and then, yes, we come back and we make those respective changes, but then it's just annual, it really is.
Well, we wanted it more concise than what it was,
Mm-hmm,
and now we got 40 pages compared to 150.
yes.
In your mind, Angie, you're the one that works for their employees more than anybody else, any other department head. Do you feel comfortable that we got in here what we intended to get in here in a short form? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but you're the one that is working with this more so than anybody else.
I'd like to go through it again, like Christina said, it's been a while since I've compared the two, and, I'd just like to go back through and make sure there's not something else I see that Wade, you.
Because we have greatly
comment?
reduced,
Yeah.
which was our intention.
Well, and I agree with Angie. We've had some additional feedback today. I want to be able to go back and make those respective changes and, you know, give Angie and Wade one more time to go through it before we send it back to you in in a week from now.
We'll throw the December one away.
Yeah, throw that away.
Don, if there is a separate manager leadership manual that sort of supplements this, then I think it'll be fine. But it's what managers can and can't do, and what that procedure is, that there'll be the majority of the questions on. And that's what I see. And I've had, maybe it's because I've had to field a number of those questions over time related to, where does somebody fall within the salary schedule? And if they don't start out at step one, how do they get above without coming in and making it, how do they demonstrate that they have that value to go higher? The disciplinary process, and what steps need to be taken so that you're not creating a ready-made lawsuit for later on down the road, and starting out with verbal, written.
And that's already in the employee handbook.
Sure.
So I will say the majority of things are here. There may be a handful of things that are not here, that need to be put into that respective handbook.
Well, that goes to my question, the the steps, the reclassification of employees or department heads wanting to reclassify or come in after the first of the year and do a reclassification or a step promotion, and April's when that happens. So could a person put something in place to where, you know, once you go through and the steps are set at April 1st,
Mhm.
unless there is schooling or transfer, promotion is the only, is there something to put in to stop
Mhm.
the steps, you know, people wanting to come in and,
This right here.
what's that?
So in the original McGrath, compensation handbook, in Appendix D, compensation policies and procedures, and it talks about new hires, annual increases, promotions, demotions, top of the range, changes in pay grade. It's a suggested policy and procedure that goes with that. So I originally thought that when the salary study was implemented, that this was a part of it too, and we might need to go back in time, because this is what, when employees come to me, department heads, about where people will fall and what they can do, and there's been motions to reflect this, specifically out of Road and Bridge. Some other departments, they followed this procedure.
So this is already,
Well, I thought so, but there are,
okay.
but I had it just in case it came up, and
See, we had 4 requests for today from one department that they were gonna give them a step with a 6% plus 1 step as of June, or January 1st. And then come April 1st, they're gonna get another step, so they got 2 steps right quick together, which is a 9% increase in wages. One of them was 9, one of them was 10, because of the difference in the salary structure. And I mentioned it, that I'm not sure we ought to give any step increases during the year, unless it's they vert it to further education or further change in their
Changing their work.
new
Title.
work that they do, the titles that they do. You know, we had one here 2 weeks ago where they made a step increase and salary increase January 1st, but they don't get a step increase April 1st. We so noted that in the minutes.
Right.
But we had 4 today that was gone, but it's been delayed until the department head can be here, as I understand it. And I got the fullest respect for all of our department heads. I don't like to see 2 steps or 3 steps in 1 year unless there's some way that they've earned it
It
through.
gets out of hand. It gets out of hand way too fast.
No,
And
look,
we,
like,
and we had just done one ourselves, basically, for somebody that has been here for umpteen years and never had anything but a COLA increase. We just recategorized that individual because of the amount of information that's coming through that office. It's more of an executive versus office coordinator type deal. So we kind of moved that around to,
The duties changed.
duties kind of
dramatically,
changed
yeah.
there, so,
Mhm.
and then here come the barrage of 4 coming through for today, and.
It's
and-
very unusual to have someone in any organization, you know, private or non-private, meaning government, getting 2 increases, you know, in step,
does it need to
meaning.
be, well, put some
Well,
language in there.
Jesse said it best, the only time that I see increases in pay is if they, you know, furthered their education or got certifications or, you know, received some education, that was requested, you know, by the county, or, they have more duties, more
Take
responsibilities.
on more responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
If we got the consensus of the board with that, I'm not saying we do, if we have that, does it need to be put in here in any way?
It needs to be put in the procedural manual. I mean, that truly is guidelines for leaders that you can't come to the
Yeah, that's
commissioners
got
and
it.
ask for an additional step increase if these factors have not occurred. Now, the only other thing that could happen, and it has happened the last 2 or 3 years, is market. You know, the market changes on you, and they can't seem to hire anybody, you know, within a particular discipline. But they have to, you know, they have to bring that data as well too.
Well, I think through the wage study, we're above market.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's the
Mhm.
case right now,
Okay.
but,
But that is the other reason
Mhm.
that they have tried and tried, and they can't get anyone because they're below the market, you know, in regards to.
And that's changing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Weekly. Constant battle.
Yeah, I know.
It used to be monthly, now it's weekly.
Yeah.
What's the flavor?
That's what I've noticed in my world anyway.
Mhm.
I mean, it's, yeah.
Yeah. Correct.
But
So,
isn't that addressed on changes in pay grade on 60? That they just handed out? Or am I not?
60.
okay, good. I was like, I was writing down a note for you to send it to
Yeah,
me.
No, I had one.
Okay, I'm like,
It's just changes
I
in
got
pay
one.
grade. I didn't,
Well, yeah, but this might need to be adopted to this, or this might need to be
Oh.
adopted to the policy and procedure manual
mhm.
Okay.
Small, small,
to stop.
okay,
This is go with the leadership.
Leadership, whatever it may
Mhm.
be.
okay.
That was kind of the first thing, and I had a discussion, and I said, you know, I don't mind giving somebody an increase if the merit
Mhm.
presents itself. And, well, they took on extra duties. They've taken on extra duties. Okay. You know, why all of a sudden is this hitting? You know, was my question.
Sure.
Well, I've been needing to do it for a long time. Okay. So I'm just trying to feel out
Mhm.
what transpired
Mhm.
to make this happen. And I have the utmost respect for all of them.
Mhm.
But it just hit at an odd time, I felt. So that was the reason why I questioned it. Maybe it wasn't my place to question it, but, I had questions, so, I don't know. That sparked the question of, is there something we can do to not allow that kind of stuff to happen?
I think you have to put general guidelines out there, but you still have to be open to the discussion of anyone that comes to the commissioners in regards to a pay increase or step increase. I mean, I'm open to the discussion, but it's one of these where they have to prove, you know, in black and white, and I call it facts instead of feelings. Well, you know, I should have done this a long time ago is not a good justification, business justification on giving a step increase. What is a good justification is, here are the, you know, 4 additional duties, and with these additional duties, they had to get, you know, this education, or I had to send them to this training, that kind of stuff. So it just can't be, I should have done this a long time
Then
ago.
it kind of falls back on department head or elected officials. Elected officials
Mhm.
are able to promote however they choose.
Mhm.
Is that correct?
Correct, it is absolutely correct.
With an asterisk.
With an
Mhm.
asterisk?
Yeah, so an elected official has a budget, and as long as they're operating within that budget, but the board is in control of the purse strings for the county. So one of the things that the board has done over time, at least since I've been here, is they've required an itemized list of what each department, including elected officials, do. And if an elected official, and we'll use the county attorney, is abusing that, then you can pull in the purse strings within that department so that they don't do that. Because what you don't want to see happen is an elected official, and I'll use county attorney as an example. I come in and I say, well, I want to move everybody in the county attorney's office up into some tier. You say, well, you're not even following the same rules that everybody else in the county has to follow if you're a non-elected official. And I say, well, too bad, I'm an elected official, it's in my budget, I'm gonna do it anyways. How is that fair to everybody else in the county? And if that happens, then the way you deal with that is you pull back the budget for the county attorney. And although you're right in what you're saying, that's the way you deal with that. And as an elected official, I don't want the people who work in this courthouse to feel like people who are under the county attorney's office are treated any differently than anybody else. That's very important to me, and I don't want to come in and say, well, I'm an elected official, I'll do what I want to do. I don't want that. That's important to me, but it may not be important to somebody else. But this gives you, in my opinion, what you don't know behind the scenes, a number of department heads who are not elected officials have followed this procedure. And when they've come in and asked for something, they have followed this to a T, whether it be new hires and they come in and they explain why this person should start at a certain level, or you know, the promotion or changes in pay grade is an example. They've come in, they've had the presentation, but if everything's done the right way, all that happens behind the scenes, so when it comes in here, it's streamlined, and you don't have to spend a lot of time because it makes sense. So.
Well, two things. First, with this respective employee handbook, I'm gonna make changes based upon today, send it back to Wade and Angie for further review, as well as to the commissioners for further review. And then you can make the business decision after this has been finalized, whether or not you want us to help facilitate doing the additional language for a leadership procedural manual. And it will be accessible, just like it is, to all employees, but it truly is guidance to leaders, so we can have consistency throughout the county. And either I can take that lead, or my team can take that lead, or, you know, someone within the county can take that lead. But that's a business decision that the commissioners need to make.
I think it's best if we just hand it on to her and her firm and get it done,
Okay,
in my opinion only.
I agree.
okay.
I mean, that way it's not,
She's got.
if you create something in.
I already have the respective knowledge.
They've got their, yeah, right.
Plus, we have the working relationship with, you know, Angie and Wade. But I will say, I won't even start this until we get this approved. Yeah, but I see that happening quickly, and then after that occurs, then I will go through it first, and only I will give my opinions on things that I feel like we can cut out, because even seeing this, it's very repetitive of what we already got accomplished within the policy manual. So we can really be short and sweet about what the rules are for the leaders within the counties.
But for right now, this is the procedures that that the
Yeah.
county's working on, that Wade handed out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not gonna reinvent the wheel on something like this. I will, you know, I do think there needs to be guidelines. I mean, every large organization has guidelines for leaders in regards to the compensation structure, and when people come into the system, how to get raises, et cetera. So that's not unusual, but it's usually, you know, not in an employee handbook. So,
We're gonna be making several changes in this, Christina.
Yeah.
You'll highlight what changes you put in
Yeah.
there, or what changes.
absolutely.
So we wouldn't necessarily have to read every paragraph all the way
No,
through.
we're gonna highlight. We're gonna highlight, but feel free to look over the document again
Yeah.
if you want to. I know these two are gonna look over the document at length, but I'm going to highlight the changes that we just recently made, just so you can go through the highlighted version. So it shouldn't take you that long.
And from this point forward, I think with those changes, the document, is pretty much ready to go.
Mhm.
So you probably won't need to come back. I think it'll.
No, it
be a
will-
Decision.
it will be-
You can adopt it
Mhm.
once those changes come back and you approve them.
Yeah, she doesn't have to come down for that.
The next time I'd like to come down is when I get a draft together for this, where the procedures are put together. That's when I would like to come down
How many
again.
pages do you expect to be involved in that?
I hope not. I mean, we're already
Talking
at,
about 8 or 10 on top of this?
I think so. I
Or are
don't
you talking
think,
about 25 or 30?
no, I hope not, Don. You know, I'm a big believer in less is best, and so I hope not. I mean, this is kind of our standard at this amount. You know, it's kind of funny, one of my clients is down in Texas. It's a rural electric cooperative down in Texas. And when I was down there, I saw their employee handbook and I lit up. And the reason I lit up is because they're the largest rural electric cooperative. They have 900 employees and their employee handbook is 20 pages. And I was high-fiving everybody when I saw it. And yeah, and I was grabbing it, and I go, I mean, like I said, they understand less is best.
How well was it working?
It's working very well.
How come this ain't 20?
Well, I'd love to make it 20, but, you know, you guys keep on adding stuff to it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna lie.
Where Coffee County's a right to work county?
It is.
That's all you need.
I know. No,
Just throwing
I mean,
that out
I
there.
just, there's certain things that, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, I wouldn't put everything in there for these unusual situations. But I know you get questions. I know you get questions. But it's just, that's what a policy manual is all about, is for the majority, not the minority. So that's just it. So, but it happens. I'll work on it. I promise you, I don't want to put too much more into this.
I think before any of us were here, other than Angie,
Mhm.
there was a lot of time and energy put on the current policy manual.
Mhm.
It actually was sent out to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, a firm in Wichita.
Mhm.
So why would they have it, this large volume?
Actually, if I could clarify just on that point,
Okay.
is that they were working on the, CDL drug testing portion of it.
Mhm.
They really didn't go over the whole manual. The whole manual was done by the committee.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it's what was established originally in 1994 or 6, and then we've
It's
modified.
evolved since then.
Yeah, so we didn't really,
Yeah.
and I was on that committee.
Yeah. So, we're working on it. Here's the good news. It's 200 pages, we're down to 40. So if I only add.
That's still challenging.
41.
Okay.
41.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
I'll
where
be in
this,
touch.
so where this is a moving target, every time we make a change, so back, like in July, or in June, when we take away the, shared leave thing,
Mhm.
are we gonna have to have everybody re-sign this piece of paper?
You don't have to have it re-signed. You know, they need to know, and everybody needs to be aware that the revisions are on site, or you can come in, but you don't have to do it every
You're not gonna
time.
be notified if
No.
there's a revision?
But you do need to notify that there are changes.
You gotta notify there are
Yeah,
changes.
you need to notify that, you know, these are the changes, even with, and this is the other thing that, we have done, is you do a memo and say, these are the changes that have been made, and then you're done with it.
Gotta put it with their paychecks.
Yeah,
We just
So
have
they're
to make them
aware.
open their envelope.
huh?
We just need to make them open their envelope.
Yeah. See, you
Well,
gotta
at least you
open the
said it.
envelope. I didn't know that that was a big thing, that you have to, I gotta admit, I don't open my envelope that often. And it's just because I'm on a salary, I know what's in there.
We can put a sticker on it and say policy changes. or
Yeah,
something.
yes, something like that.
We do that with other things, so.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just so, all thing goes in here, so they'll shred all that. That's one thing in here, just cut, I can't shred.
I'm all for not dragging this day out. Is there anything that, any more discussion on this piece of paper, or 41 pieces of paper that was handed to us?
She'll make some more updates in it, and hopefully it's one that we can sign off on.
I'm like getting really close.
Because I have a feeling 20 minutes after we've moved and approved it, there's gonna be somebody going, well, what about this?
It'll still be work in process.
And that's why I bring it up, not to make it difficult, but I know there will be questions, and
Yeah.
being proactive and deal with those ahead of time.
I'll be the first to admit, I was one to be 199% against two manuals, two books, one for supervisors and one for employees, because they're all employees of the county. But I do see the need for some policy guidelines that our supervisors have to go through. Or need to follow. It's
I
direction.
agree.
So,
Forgot my beverage.
Yeah, don't forget the cup.
so I, you know, I'm all about less is better, but I do see there's need for department heads and some elected
Specific.
officials
Yeah.
to have kind of some higher guidelines.
It will help and be a roadmap.
Yeah.
And that's really what you need is a roadmap.
I would agree with you, Jesse, I was against two manuals too. But the more I see and the more I listen, the more I hear, there's probably a place for that other manual.
I think
I
you
think it
guys
needs to be short.
will, people come back and they watch YouTube, and then they send emails to me, and they send emails to Angie asking, okay, the board said this X, Y, and Z, what does that mean, and how does it apply to this situation? And then we have to scramble and try to figure out, well, what does that mean, and then we'll come back. And so we're trying to head off the questions, but I think you'll have a line at some point in time, if you don't be proactive and do exactly what you're saying, give them the roadmap.
Yeah. I still think that the what we had for employees could have been a lot smaller. I still do. But
I think
it's a lot better than what it was.
condensed about as far as we probably could get.
Wade, do you have any roundtable stuff for today?
So, I wanted to bring up, this is sort of what's going on behind the scenes with the, these are the initial renderings for the, parking lot situation. They showed up either Friday or Saturday, I don't remember which one. They were emailed to me, to Commissioner Huguenin, and, I just want you to, these are the, what do you call these, the official renderings from Toth.
Yeah, I think what they're wanting is our approval on, but if you would go to page 3, I briefed over that this morning.
Trying to figure out how to make this bigger.
Over, I don't think you can. Well,
It's probably underneath here.
um,
So you said page 3. Oh, I
There you
did it
go.
that way. Yeah. Good
so,
call.
Yeah.
So you said page 3.
yes.
So this is page 3. That's page 4, right?
I can't see, it was too small.
This page 3? Or the one you're wanting to look at?
Correct, there's a demolition plan, is that what that says on the right there? You have to turn your head to read it, but.
Demolition plan south.
Mhm. So, and this is something we can make as a group decision in a initial walkthrough, if you will, looking at everything out there. And maybe it's best, up there in the right top corner of that drawing, basically out here, the northeast corner of 6th and the Osho, you're seeing they're putting a new storm sewer box and curb right there, but there are no new handicap ramps. Those, I guess, the only thing I'm doing is ask each commissioner to take a walk, you know, even, let me get back done. This is their demolition plan, and even like right here, they're just showing a portion of the sidewalk coming out and being replaced. I'm gonna assume that's due to the fact that slope or something, you know, that it's settled. They're showing no new handicap ramps and no new sidewalk here. So I guess we as a commission need to decide whether we want new sidewalk, because if you walk along the east side, and I think if anybody can agree, you'll see several hazards.
Right.
So I'm just throwing these out as suggestions. And like I said, there's no, the handicap ramps are there, but there's no detectable warning strips at all, which are ADA requirements anymore. So
The
your
rumble
80
strip stuff? is
Yeah,
that
the
what it
rumble
is?
strips, yeah, the tiles. So which means they're basically outdated and non-compliant, but it's one of those situations, if you don't change it, you're in compliance, so to speak. So there's spot areas of sidewalk that do get replaced, but in other words, the majority of it's all staying.
Well, my thing on this east side here, wouldn't it be important for us? Wouldn't it be advantageous to do new sidewalk on the east side at least? I mean, along with, that way we could get drainage away from this building.
Get it right.
Bring it up and slope it to the sidewalk area?
Yeah, I haven't really gone to any one of their pages that show what elevations they've shot and kind of make much of a decision on that yet, but I do know if you walk this sidewalk, and even when you get out there, these ADA ramps, that there is some trip hazards.
Right.
I mean, we've even had the city come in and they've
Ground them
several areas
down.
out there,
Yeah.
so I'm just bringing that up because, you know, we've done this waterproofing, and I know getting positive drainage away from the building in these areas is a must to help with some of that.
But
So-
can we do that with will that help with sidewalks?
Well, I hate to see.
Or is
the
that
state-
gonna gonna push the water into the sidewalks,
Into the
I haven't-
building, you mean?
into the
I
sidewalk?
haven't taken enough time to see what elevations
Right,
they've come up with yet,
right.
so to help you with that question.
I mean,
But-
you've got your windows on the building and stuff, you can't go but so high.
Yeah, see, here's another
Against the
spot
building.
replacement of sidewalk past the entrance there. It's just a small portion, but
You want me to go to the next one?
On that one there, you got the drainage all the way out on the corner. That's gonna be an island sitting out there. Is
Where?
that gonna be an issue? You got angle parking in south of it, you got angle parking along the north side going west. But that drainage, can in any way move it back towards the building? Cause that's gonna be an island sitting right on the corner of it.
no, it won't change much more than it is now.
It'll sit just like it is now.
Yeah, they're just adding a new storm sewer box there, and then they're adding one north across the street. If you scroll down,
You just
So they
check
put a
the
storm
radius.
sewer box, new storm sewer box there, and then they're putting one in. It kinda shows it here. Oops.
It's just straight north, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit further east. Okay.
Yeah, it goes an angle over there, cause that water on the north side of the road does go to the east, and then
No, on the
if you
north
go,
side,
keep going north, they're adding an area drain here and here to accommodate catching all that water.
on the north side of the courthouse here, isn't there 2 rows of trees? You got some big trees sitting out next to the,
Just showing them there.
yeah. Is there some trees closer, all the trees are gonna be taken out?
No, they're showing, they do stand, there's some more here to stand.
Okay,
Make an island.
so you're actually gonna leave those trees on the north row, those 2 or 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You see across the street, where we've got all new sidewalk and new handicap ramps, basically. I don't know if you want them over here too. Just thought I'd point that out, I guess.
Well, it's kind of the time to fix things if we
Yeah,
think it's
say if we're gonna
fixed.
do it.
Well, it's just more money, but,
I
yeah.
understand,
I
but,
mean, I
yeah.
didn't mean to say just more money.
Now's the time to fix it, now's the
That'll
time
be
to
a
fix it
good
right.
one.
But, you know, you either do it now or
Forever hold your peace.
do it later. I mean,
Yeah.
I would think it'd be better to do it now. I mean, when the project is being done.
pardon me?
I think now would be the time to do it, because if you say the side, and I haven't looked at it, but the sidewalk is uneven.
Yeah, when you leave today, just walk over to the east, and I don't know how, I don't remember, I didn't read all the email ways to see if they wanted us to sign off on this and proceed, or,
No, they sent, I think it was the preliminary draft just to review, and it's still a discussion point.
okay.
I mean, they wanted to get us something because they know time is of the essence, so.
So I guess the reply back today would be, do you wanna add all new sidewalk on the north side of the courthouse and east side of the courthouse, as well as handicap ramps on the northeast corner? Cause it appears that the sidewalk, once you leave, go west past this, I call it north entrance to the parking lot, or the east entrance to the parking lot, everything's in fairly
Good
good
shape.
shape and fairly new.
I'd say there's no time like the
I
present
think
to do it.
that'd be the best.
And if there's any way we can make water drain away from the east side of this building while we're doing that, would be
Great.
very, very helpful to keeping the water on the outside of this building, instead of coming through the walls in the basement.
So does that need to be brought up with Todd as a sort of a supplement to what they're doing now? If they're gonna be working on the drainage, have them include something that deals with drainage away from the courthouse?
I could look at it, I would think.
They could even put drains underneath and run them underneath the sidewalk to the curbside, couldn't you?
You can, yeah.
Those windows are setting, what, a foot or 2 below ground level now? Barb was cleaning the first now, here, I came up here last week one day, and she was out there cleaning this one out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You talking about running the sidewalk all the way up to the building and pinning it?
No,
Or you
no.
still gonna leave?
Leave it where it's at, it's just,
Get the
Yeah.
slope going.
Yeah.
Away from the building.
I mean, I don't know if the elevation would have to change much. It looks like you could take everything straight to the north, but again, I don't know.
Might be able to.
I haven't taken the time to look at any elevations, so.
I would say there's no time like the present to get it done and make it handicap accessible. I mean, that's kind of,
Round up to code.
Well, he's got several handicap stalls over on the east side here.
well, your ramps to get up onto the sidewalk
Oh,
at your
yeah.
cross street.
Well, I mean, they're there now, there's ramps there to get out to the street, be a wheelchair or whatever, it's just, you just have to walk it and see. I mean, it's not, there's unevenness, there's no detectable warning strips, there's no, I mean, if a person was wanting to change any of that, of course, it looks like he's got the back of the curb sitting away from the sidewalk some, so. I don't know, I noticed the demolition plan, there wasn't a lot of sidewalk work done, and just, that was one of my pet peeves. We had the city come up and grind a bunch of this, cause it was so uneven, so.
So did they ever determine the pricing? Was they just gonna do this extra?
It is extra, yes,
He was gonna take
trying
it.
to figure out the best way to word this. The fee for, I should have printed that off, I didn't. The fee for overseeing the project was like 50-some thousand. And that,
54, and
Yeah.
that goes, I mean, that's the same as what it is for the entire jail project, and they were just gonna add that as a pre-construction service, probably just get started earlier, but it will also encompass what they will be doing for the jail project, so if I understand correctly, the two will be overlapping as,
it may not total 54,000 the way I
Right.
understood it.
They were just gonna start sooner, didn't they?
yeah,
That's the way
that's my understanding.
Correct, and then there was the 3.5% overhead profit, basically, so the bid comes in at 500,000, you get 3.5% for that. They will coordinate, they will have somebody boots on the ground that will coordinate all testing that's needed. Basically making sure it goes in as per plans. Now, he did say also that the, angle parking on the off-street, if you will, at the north edge of our existing parking lot, to not put that in immediately due to somebody's liable to start using it, and it'll get trashed, and at the end of the project, you won't have a parking lot, so you might as well wait till the end. And I think he was gonna, there was a brief discussion about possibly incorporating it with the site work at the jail, because there'll be some sidewalks and this and that and the other that needs to be accomplished. There's your storm sewer.
Yeah, this is your stormwater plans.
You got a box to replace that existing box on the northeast corner, and then he's putting a new curb inlet across the street to the north, and then piping it down to the north with an area inlet, catch that water coming out of the alley and off the parking as well. You can see a box there that goes on over. Well, he's not showing a box, I don't know what that is exactly. He's not labeling it as an area inlet in that area. I don't know. Whether that's a flume, I don't know.
Looks like an expensive parking lot.
It is. You're gonna need it.
City of Burlington signed off on everything so far.
Yes, I took them a copy of the first drawing we got a couple weeks ago and presented it to the street superintendent. And I told him I would be in touch with him anytime there was an update. And, so what I'll do is I'll go back to my office and I'll print this set of drawings off for him to look at, and then, I'll probably make myself available at council meeting to make sure, but in short, the conversation we've had is that, it's city property, they have our blessing to do it, it's not that, it's just they wanna be in the loop of anything that goes on to make sure it doesn't hurt any of their drainage.
Is there any utility companies that's gonna be an issue that have to move some move some of their structure?
I don't think so. I'm gonna assume that the electric from light poles to light post is at a decent depth. I don't believe there's any gas out there, it's all sewer, maybe some water, but
Yeah.
that's one thing they're not showing on that drawing. I haven't completely looked through it, I agreed to it this morning, so.
Appreciate everything you're doing on it,
That's all
Tom.
gonna be my comment.
Taking a lead on this, and I really appreciate it.
All your extra work and your expertise.
Thank you. I don't know, I just always liked it, so.
Very valuable, thank you.
I'm also including Craig Marshall from the local school district, because part of this, well, the entire thing impacts the elementary school, so to be a good neighbor, having them included as well.
So, do we just let each commissioner walk the sidewalk today, and then we come back next week and say, yeah, let's do that, or?
Yeah, I mean,
You're pushing it out another week.
I know.
but I think if the consensus is all you're getting right now is preliminary estimates on, I mean, you're not committing to anything necessarily, you're just wanting the ability to move forward and see what it would take, and then that might also include the drainage from the courthouse, and see if there's something that can be done there as well.
Are there companies close by that can do this, all the parking we've got set up on a timely manner? Because I know most of them are probably
Yes.
set up for down the road.
Yes.
There are businesses available, which I know you're in the concrete business too, so.
Yep. There's several.
I see this only the time to do the right thing with the sidewalk, and if we can incorporate any drainage away from this courthouse, get it done. I mean, I don't wanna
Agreed.
wait another week.
Well, I don't wanna, my thought is like, adding on to a house later, you can tell you'd be added on to it later, or
Mhm.
something, or you
Exactly.
say, why didn't you do that the first time? Something like that coming down the pipe, so,
Well,
I just,
You're gonna have the crews here, you're gonna have the technical team here, you're gonna have the city's blessing. It makes sense to do it all at once.
You're gonna have the ground torn up too.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's gonna be a mess no matter what. There's no time like the present to do it, if you're gonna ever do it. If you're not, then it's one thing, but we already know there's issues. There's issues with water coming in on the east side, and there's issues with the sidewalk.
so, and
So,
that's why I say let's just remedy it now.
I
it's
agree.
not gonna cost that much more, I don't think.
It'll probably cost more to remobilize and come back to fix it later than it would
Exactly.
be. And,
To do it.
everybody knows as well as I, things aren't getting that much cheaper, so.
Some people,
They are
not realizing.
Sure not at this point.
They're not getting any cheaper.
All right, Wade, you got anything else for us?
That's the update that I had, just so you're in the loop on what's going on. I got that email, Tom got the email, now you know what's happening there.
So to recap, believe there's adequate interest on continuing looking at redoing the sidewalk on the east side of the courthouse as well, right?
East and north.
East and north.
Yes. I'm just, these are suggestions of mine, that when you look at that drawing across the street to north of the new parking lot, they've got a new sidewalk coming up, and then they got new handicap ramps. Those will be ADA compliant, they'll have to be ADA compliant with the detectable warning strips, so I just thought
Might
now
as well
was,
do
think
the
we
same
should
thing.
do, now is the time to take care of this corner at the same time.
I would agree.
Nope, I think general consensus is
Come
run with
matching
it.
then, basically.
Yeah, I mean,
Run with it, we've got the construction in the area, then we've got the mess.
just don't want it to look like we painted half the house.
Exactly.
That's my kind of paint right there. Okay. Was there anything else, Wade?
No, and that was like, this one, this would be the courthouse
That-
right here.
Is that the courthouse there?
This
Or
is
that-
all,
No, that's the,
That's.
oh, that's Cross
church,
Street,
church.
actually.
that's the church. That's a new sidewalk and handicap ramps going along the southeast corner.
I don't know where it is, but
There's his elevations. You know, I didn't get that far.
That's probably not gonna be the elevation from the building though. 1032, 1031, 1031, 1032.
But somewhat irrelevant, I mean, we just need to let them know that add the sidewalks in as well as handicap ramps.
and I'm meeting with, Joe Seymour with River City tomorrow, so.
What's he coming in for? This?
No, we're talking about the contract.
Oh,
Get it finalized so it can be presented hopefully next week.
when we was on roundtable, you got more roundtable?
No, for this week, I mean, I added quite a bit last week, so give you a pause, I'll wait till next week.
I kinda feel guilty, we've only made one trip downstairs.
Gotta be something wrong.
Yeah, we're missing something.
When you put-
We haven't been clear around
Yeah,
town
I
yet
know,
either.
I know.
When you put a bunch of attorneys in the room,
That's when it starts to happen. Steve, do you have anything for roundtable?
No, I don't. I'm good.
Dawn?
Angie's got 3 things to do under the to-dos. You gonna bring them up, Angie?
No, you go ahead.
One of them, you know, is tourism board appointment, check with Bobby. Well, that probably don't need to be done today or anything, but
Well, I did talk to him last week about it, and he was gonna check with someone he thought might be interested. And, so I haven't heard back from him yet, but I have a name, so hopefully within the next week I'll
I
have it.
think we,
But it needs to be someone who's involved in a retail environment, or restaurant, or hospitality, either a business owner, or it could be an employee, so,
so this could be somebody outside the board then.
yeah.
Update on the time clocks,
Still
still just,
technology issues with the
just
company.
on hold right now. Discuss the north property, I don't know what you had involved in that.
We was, talking about the contract, the rental agreement.
Yep.
Is that in the making?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I did visit with them last, and I told him, I said, we've got the guidelines, we're going in with the agreement, it'll be out before your 120 days expires.
Yep.
So, and I told him 3 months, 2,500, with the option at the end of the 3 to renew for the 6 or whatever we go with, so.
no less than 3,
No.
no more than 6.
Yeah, no less than 3, no more than 6, so. Wade,
I did check with all of our vacant, abandoned gas tanks in Leroy. We've got 5 filling stations that's closed in the last 25 or 30 years. And every one of their tanks was dug up by the state 25 or 28 years ago. Didn't have an exact date, but every abandoned tank in those 5 locations is gone. So I didn't use any of my forms.
Okay.
that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
We had a lot of small filling stations, just, we only got one now, which is a Copart.
Yeah.
But back then, we had 3 or 4 of them going. I remember them all going. I didn't remember being dug up.
Has anybody notified the county related to any of the tanks for that project?
As far as, well, it was put out on Facebook
Sure.
departments.
But then I think they need the responsibility of the landowners to then notify the county, so the county can notify
The state.
the state.
And I haven't notified anybody other,
Okay.
ours is legal, they're all dug up, so.
Do you want me to make phone calls to those landowners to,
There would be one at Lebo, Joe Shoemaker, right there, northeast quadrant of 50 and Fauna. That old, there's an old truck stop there, but I don't know.
I'll bet that could still be there, but I don't know.
It could be. I think Joe owns that now. It's either Joe or Camionic, one of the two.
I mean, it's
She did over, didn't she, or she,
Did she sell that property? Yeah.
she owned, I know she owned it.
Dawn owned it, Dawn Oliver.
Yeah.
I can probably find out from mapping who owns them.
Yeah, you probably could. And everything else downtown Lebo has been taken out several years ago.
I mean, it's to the landowner's benefit.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
And same with Waverly. I mean,
My knowledge, everyone in Burlington's been removed.
And that was Gridley also, best I could find out.
Has there ever been more than one station there, really?
Yeah, there was about 5.
There was 5 at one time.
Yeah,
Everybody owned a filling station back then, didn't they?
yeah, but one was down there where the community is, and they were all dug up, and
See, I don't remember.
And
that little
Christie.
station there, right southeast of our motor, but they've been dug up according to Dale Rogers, and then up there on the corner across from the car wash, there was tanks up there too, and they've been dug up, so,
Evidently, the state had a pretty progressive program back
They did.
25 years ago.
Well, 40, I mean,
And it might be.
40 years ago, because that's,
yeah.
in 1980, 81, we had a tank there at Waverly, I mean, that logged up, at the elevator, and we had to remove those tanks, and that,
Times that
and that was,
farm.
and that was part of the state.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Wade Thompson, you got anything for roundtable?
I do not, it's all been covered.
Tom, got any?
No.
Thing? Angie?
I added a few more, items to the to-do list. So if there's anything else you'd like me to add, I can add that and it will stay on there until we take it off. Just as reminders for all of us.
Okay.
Don't have anything this week. Well, next week, right? 30th?
Yeah, check the mattress next week.
Check some vouchers next Wednesday, is it right?
Monday.
Monday, you do it
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to my knowledge, other than the north property was the only thing I had.
and you'll see, building maintenance, janitorial maintenance, things coming through, that's signing off on those vouchers, they've been coming through me. I don't think there's a whole lot of, we're moving forward, working with Angie, so, everybody in those departments are keeping me informed on what's happening. I'm also utilizing the office downstairs and that conference room. Actually, I've met with several witnesses that are tied to cases and had that as a staging area, which is extremely helpful because for some witnesses in certain cases, they don't need to come up to the busiest part of the courthouse. It's not fair to them. Right. I appreciate that.
Nope, might as well utilize it. Full circle. Well, if nobody has anything else, I'm not gonna be feeling bad to adjourn at 11:42.
5 hours less than last week.
5 hours less than last week.
That was time well spent.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was, yeah.
It would kill it.
Are we adjourned?
Yep. 11:42.
I turned your
power on for your tractor.